I am a Secretary General of the National Ulama Conference of the Philippines.
The Quran and the prophetic traditions.
But very interesting in Islamic history. Founding anniversary in the
We have to know the other faith, not only theologically, but also the day-to-day living and appreciation of the differences. What Father Seb did in Mindanao is like in the concept of Christianity, have witnessing, to be witness of your faith to others, not to convert, but to show them the compassion, love, and the real teaching of Christianity.
History shows many examples of teachings and visions that began as unifying forces but eventually set people against each other. Wars of religion are only the most obvious examples. Almost without exemption, the great reformers within every spiritual tradition have sought to restore its original vision by re-establishing the internal, psychological meaning of the ideals and symbols that define the teachings. This is what's happening to us today. If you see in the world now, the conflict, because we are not giving the rightful place for the religion and for state. So confusion will lead to conflict. The crux of the matter, what we are seeing now, the conflict in the world because of the confusion, politics and religion. So we have to be careful of these, because when we talk about the rule of law, it should be neutral. When we talk about practicing our individual conviction, prayers, fasting, and going to Hajj, this cannot be codified into government structure, because this one is individual conviction. You go to church, you go to mosque to pray, it cannot be regulated. We have to be careful when we impose. It's not sustainable when we talk about personal conviction. So personal conviction, our relation with God, it's personal, it's individual. When we talk about government, it should be government of all, not government of specific or particular group of people.
Also, we already share with our followers the idea of the beautiful name of Allah, and you please tell us something more about this and some beautiful name that you choose and you want to deepen with us.
Yeah, the two attributes that I chose, let me start. All the chapters in the Holy Quran begin with the phrase Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The two attributes, Rahman and Rahim, always in the beginning of every chapter. So this is very important. The two attributes of Allah, Rahman and Rahim, to some Muslim scholars, these are the summary of all the 99, because this is the root. If we talk about trees, or if we talk about creation, and in a simple language, when we talk about Rahman, simple language translation of that one is caring. God is caring. Rahim means, in a simple language, God is loving. So these two attributes is really connected. And God is Rahman and God is Rahim is telling us that He is most merciful, most compassionate. And these attributes, if we really believe in God, if we really worship Him, these two attributes must be seen, must be manifested in us. in our dealing with other creation.
Mm.
So it's not just memorizing the attributes. It's not just doing zikir, the rosary of the names of God. But these names of God, these attributes of God must be operationalized in our life. So meaning we have to be merciful, we have to be caring, and we have to be loving. That's what the major teaching of the two religions, I think in Christianity and Islam, love of God and love of our neighbors. That's
Mm.
the summary. And I chose these two because this is the very essence of the relationship of God and humanity.
And of course, we cannot deny the fact that when power and religion is not being, you know, separated, so there will be abuse of power. My encounter with other faiths, so it will not, you know, uh, I'm not afraid of dealing with others. I'm not, you know, uh, compromising my faith. In fact, it will, you know, motivate me and inspire me to work with others, because I have that motivation that all of us are the same in terms of the spirit within us and the orientation within us, although we only differ in terms of interpretations, in terms of the rituals. And in that level, I think what we have experienced, and even today, that we can appreciate others, that we will see others according to their own faith, but of course, deepening your own faith also. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon us all. One of the great moral and spiritual issues of our day is the massive and increasing destruction of creation. At the same time, we are witnessing a spiritual, in the widest sense of the word, rebirth and need to rediscover communion with nature. Religion, far more than governmental bodies or pressure groups, has a fundamental role to play in this respect. The faith can speak to their believers with more authority than conservation alone, and while the implementation of environmental management depends on the existence of appropriate legislation, legislation becomes more effective, enforceable, and useful when it emanates from a nation's creed, when it represents its cultural and intellectual heritage. All the great religions of the world, as well as the spirituality of first peoples, have maintained a tradition of conservation, respect for nature and the environment, and kindness to other living creatures. These tenets of environmental theology are little known and seldom discussed, much less widely observed or practiced. They are, however, perhaps more relevant today than ever. Unity cannot be had by discord, by setting one need against another, or letting one end predominate over another. It is maintained by balance and harmony. Therefore, Muslims say that Islam is the middle path, and we will be answerable for how we have walked this path. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said, "All creatures are God's dependents, and the most beloved to God among them is he who does good to God's dependents." We are gifted to give because the gift of faith has enabled and inspired us to respond to the challenges and problems we are facing today. Our faith traditions, the Abrahamic faith, ever since have contributed to humanize our existence, to care for others and for the earth. We may differ in our rituals and doctrines, but spiritually we are one and connected in loving God and loving our neighbors. So the highest level of submission to the will of God, we must be the embodiment or manifestation of the image of God. The Rahman, caring, Rahim, loving, and Adil, the just. Thus, we are called to spread godliness upon the earth. And to do this, we need to have a total human development so that we will have, we will be fully equipped. We need to have intelligence quotient, this is for rationality, emotional quotient for social intelligence, and spiritual quotient for discernment and wisdom. To have adversity quotient and love quotient. So that we will be a witness, living witness of our faith. And to do this, we have to have this concept of dialogue of life and life in dialogue. To be in harmony with God, with self, with others, and with creation. And so, God's image must be seen in us, in our intention, words, and actions. Faith is an intensely personal issue, and plainly, each person should be allowed to find their own path in life. This is the challenge for us, all of us. Our faith has given us the opportunity and also the obligation to serve others. This is what the Quran says, and this is, I think, applicable to all of us. Thank you very much for listening.